Jamais on n'a vu, jamais on verra un si bon curé, comme celui qu'on en a. Jamais on n'a vu, jamais on verra un si bon curé, comme celui qu'on en a.
Songs for children and other people.
And what a great album.
Thank you.
I only understood half of it.
Half is in French. They worked me very hard to make sure that my French was okay. I made it with a French-Canadian man, and his sister really rehearsed me so that my pronunciation was pretty good, I think.
And there's one particular song that sounds like it's almost operatic in that bon vivant, or it's very much articulated sound. It's a very short song.
Jamais on ne vu,
That's the
jamais
one.
on verra un petit sourire comme celui qu'on en a. Is it that?
It is, and I'm amazed at how much it sounds just like that album.
Oh, that's interesting. I think, I haven't listened to the album in a while. I think I sound younger there.
And that was a few years before the Elephant Show as well.
A long time before. It was before I ever knew. I mean, I'd met Bram in my, 16, 17, 18 years old in the coffee house scene in Toronto. I didn't meet Lois until many years later. The Bohemian Embassy was an environment for folk music, poetry, jazz. So, you'd have folks singing earlier in the evening and then some poetry reading later on. Famous people who hung out there.
Don Cullen, he was an honor personality as well, was he?
Yes, Don Cullen was, he was on the, what are they called, the two guys? Canadian comedians who had their own TV show for Wayne and Schuster. Ooh, hello, Sharon. Don Cullen was one of the regulars on the Wayne and Schuster show. He did had many interesting things in his life, in his career, and he's a lovely man. And he gave me my start.
And that was at 17 or 18?
Yeah, it was at 17. And I had started to kind of hang around the folk music community. It was kind of a community in those days. And I was playing the guitar, and I went to a hootenanny at the Bohemian Embassy just to watch.
A hootenanny.
A hootenanny is a gathering, an evening of performances, not by one person who is hired to do the shows for the evening, but the opportunity for many people to come up on stage and sing one or two songs. That's a real opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to watch, and I was announced. And someone called my name and introduced me, and someone else handed me a guitar. So I got up and sang, scared out of my mind, but I did it. And I'm sure that was the beginning, the real beginning.
That was the thrill that you wanted to keep getting.
I imagine so. I don't remember it in that kind of way. I just know that that's how it began, and that as life unfolded after that, I was really kind of hooked to that community and that experience, enough to quit school in grade 13 in order to pursue that.
Yes, actually, in the Unique Lives, Unique Experiences talk that you have given, and both in Toronto and Vancouver, you talk about quitting school.
I was a really good kid. I was the kind of kid who, if I ate a cookie in the living room, I'd eat it over a napkin. If I went to a friend's house after school, I'd call home and tell my mom where I was. I was a good, responsible kid. It's almost like I saved it all up, and then bingo,
I'm
quitting school, which just broke my parents' hearts. And I tell the story about my girlfriend Celia, and turning to her in a trigonometry class, I think it was, turning around to her, she was behind me, and saying, "Should I quit school?" And she said, "Well, you might as well. You're not doing your homework." And we were actually it sounds so funny. It sounds so superficial. Like, how do you make a decision like that? Just like that. I went and quit school that day. My parents, oh my gosh, it was a terrific blow for my parents. They were immigrants. What was your future? Your future was education. Mm-hmm. And I was a good student, and I was on stream to go to university, and that was going to be a natural progression, except for this other little thing that came along. And But it's interesting, I was talking to my friend Celia the other day and talking about this again, and she said, you know, it sounds like silly advice, but it probably wasn't so completely off track, because she said, after, you know, you were used to doing a minimum of work and doing well in spite of that. However, you couldn't do no work at that stage and succeed. It just wasn't possible. You had to work, and she said you weren't there anymore. So, you know, I'm lucky. It worked out okay.
Oh, you're
However,
very lucky.
I'm very lucky. I mean, it's not, there are a lot of people who have skill or talent or whatever and don't have the luck. It takes all of those things. Sometimes it takes more luck than the other. When Sharon, Lois, and Bram started, we went to a lawyer, and he helped us set up a company and do all of that stuff. And he said to us, you know, 90% of, he was talking about recording artists, but I think it's across the board throughout performance, 90% of the performers share 10% of the revenue. The other 10% of the performers walk away with 90% of the dough. So, in other words, it's very hard to earn a living, you know, in the entertainment business. We know that. And you have to be really driven by your passion if you're going to hang in through, you know, thick or thin.
Well, and even as Sharon, Lois, and Bram, you must be the 1% of the 10%.
Probably, because, I mean, for children's entertainers to earn a living, and we earned a living, all three of us, and we also supported, we employed a lot of people over the years, and so we supported a lot of people from the work that we did, and a lot of it came from live touring. It came from other areas as well, but a lot of it from touring, and that's physical, hard work, pleasurable for sure, but it is work. And but we're lucky because we did make a living at that, and there are a lot of, you know, I'm sure fine performers out there who are struggling, and were.
Well, and you're an icon to children's entertainers. Your music and your message and the genuine nature that the three of you are has made a big difference in children's upbringing.
Well, good. That's nice. I appreciate hearing that. You know, the thing that we felt all along, and that we, the value that we imposed on everything that we did, was that children deserve the best the world has to offer, whether it's food, accommodation, education, and also music. So in our work, we hired the best arrangers, we did lots of rehearsing, we hired great musicians, we tried to make really good music, good on many levels, for children and their families. We did not want the parents to run screaming from the room after hearing it for the 10th time. And so first and foremost, we had to please ourselves. And that was a good starting point. And we always tried to apply those values. And frankly, it probably cost us more money than some people spend when they create product for children. And maybe we're a little less rich as a result of it, because we put the money into the recordings, into the TV shows, into the live shows. We spent money on all of that. But I think it created a rich product, and it gave us a rich experience.
So if any of the parents are running from the room, it's probably to get some peanut butter and jelly.
As long as they're not allergic.
Yeah. Well, that's one of those songs, is it?
That's right, peanut butter, jelly. And now, it's funny, Bram brought that song back from camp. I think he sang at a camp, and they were singing that song, and he brought it to us. Songs come to you in unusual ways. But that was one of the songs that people have known. I mean, we've recorded a lot of hundreds of songs, and some are more familiar than others to our audience. And Peanut Butter, and Five Little Monkeys Jumping on the Bed, and of course Skinnamarink, and Coming Around the Mountain, and One Elephant Went Out to Play. Though, you know, those are pretty substantial songs that have had a long history with us.